third place
Okay,
match.
hello, ladies and
Okay,
gentlemen,
and
and
welcome to the
welcome
third place
Okay,
match.
hello. My Little Pony lead by example. We are a little bit into the Champions Select here, so you missed a little bit of it. But, yeah, that last game was just absolutely crazy. I'm Crusader Kitten. Oh, whoops. I'm Crusader Kitten. I'm joined by Lucino Jim. We're going to be your casters.
Yes, and we're already in picks and bans for game number 2. We see the Sejuani, Darius, and Kassadin ban coming down from My Little Pony, as opposed to the Jace, Jarvan, and Kha'Zix bans for Lead by Example. Lead by Example following pretty much the same strategy with bans. My Little Pony's following a different strategy, taking that Kassadin away from Tony that was so strong in game number 1, and picking away his Diana, which is sort of almost his trademark champion. So it'll be interesting to see how that works.
Yeah, and once again, we're going to be seeing a Nectin coming off here from Lead by Example. Oh, no, wait, was it them who played this last game?
No, it was Top
Oh, it was
Otter
Top
who
Otter.
played Renekton,
Okay, yeah.
so they're picking each other's champions away as the thing, but we will see Thor on Nautilus once again.
Yeah, and yeah, that Nautilus, he was really effective with that Nautilus. And all these next 2 picks, we're going to be seeing that Malphite picked up for Otter, as well as the Nocturne picked up for Xeno. So seeing him go for this Nocturne this time, no hacker for him. But it's still kind of the same concept. He can still dive into people. He just might not be as tanky.
Yeah, I'm not entirely certain. I'm having a bit of an issue seeing the picks on the stream. So you said Malphite and who else? I'm apologizing for this because I'm not actually.
Malphite and Nocturne.
Yeah, Malphite and Nocturne, very interesting picks. Top Otter, this is the first time we've seen him on more of the really kind of tanky champion. Renekton a lot more aggressive. My Little Pony picking up the Nocturne for Zinazero. We saw him on Nocturne in 1 game, I believe, versus Fallback Gaming in their second match, in which they won 2-0. So we've seen him on Nocturne before. I believe they also played it against Frontlines in that past match, and it was very, very close. So we'll see what happens from here on out.
Well, we do have the bottom lanes picked up here. Lead by Example has Caitlyn and Janna. And for the side of My Little Pony, it's going to be Tristana and Lulu.
So Tristana and Lulu on My Little Pony, not too unexpected. That's something I believe they ran before in, I think, a couple games ago, actually, against Frontlines. I believe it was them running the Tristana and the one. In the meantime, we seem to be having an issue with the stream where it's frozen visually on.
It wasn't updating. Okay, there we go.
Couple of there we go. There we go. And we do see the
Kale. What is this? Oh man, it's gonna be a Kale. Okay, I'm sorry. Go on.
Yeah, the Caitlyn Janna, a very strong combination. We will see the Kale into Diana. I have not seen Kale yet this tournament, and I'm excited for this one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, definitely be seeing some. Hopefully, be seeing some great things, because this is a really nice defensive team coming out from these guys. I mean, Caitlin's just gonna be that 80k. You can stand at the back of the team, and then you have Janet that can throw off her tornado or throw off Monsoon, and there's intervention coming out from Kale. But if you look on the side of My Little Pony, this is scary. There is a Malphite. He can dive in with Unstoppable Force. Woggle from Lulu can come out. It can even go on to Xeno on Nocturne, or it can go on to Insanity on Diana. They have such a strong diving composition. That's like a really scary team coming out from them.
They do have that strong diving composition, but Lead by Example does have the very strong disengage with both Nautilus's Riptide and Janna's Monsoon. But an important thing to touch on in this, Lead by Example has run that, not necessarily the combination of that bot lane, but Janna and Caitlyn each 3 times and going into today, and they were 3-0 on both those champions. So those are things that both Tech and Torque know how to play. It should be very interesting to see how well they perform with them, as I believe we have entered the delay period going into this game.
Yeah, so we can take down those summoner blockers, and what we see is that we actually see a Malphite as well as Renekton actually running with the teleport. So that's interesting, because last time we didn't see teleports on either of these top lanes, but now they have them. And I'll be interested to see how they use them just going into this game.
Yeah, last game top laners were an island in every sense of the word. I mean, they were by themselves for most of the game, and then when it came time to team fights, they were by themselves in the entire enemy team most of the game. So it's going to be interesting to see how well they can influence the rest of the map with that teleport. We've seen some teleport usage on My Little Pony when they were using Cillian as a sub. Uh, Not entirely certain if they were using it very optimally. I didn't really see it used much aggressively, aside from maybe one fight that I remember. But it'll be interesting to see if Top Otter is a bit more aggressive with his teleport, since he's proven to be a bit more of an aggressive player than Cillian was.
And we're just gonna see how it goes. I mean, if this game is anything like the last game, it'll be completely entertaining. And just looking over at these champions, I mean, it's probably going to be an entertaining game. I mean, these are very interesting picks coming out here. A few of these not picked up too often, and we're seeing like some heavy dive-ins, or we're seeing some heavy disengages.
Yeah, what really is going to interest me is that mid lane. Like I said, Diana's sort of Tony's trademark champion to an extent. It's what everyone knows to ban against him. In this case, they're picking it against him, but there's sort of a double-edged sword to that. Whenever you pick someone's really, really familiar champion into them, you're also running the risk that they know how to play something that works against it. I'm not really certain if Kale works that well against Diana. It's not a lane I have experience with, and it's not really something I've seen too much. So I'm very interested to see how that happens, because I honestly don't know. I think it's going to be a bit harder for Vinsanity to get kills post 6, and I think that's what Tony's aiming for here.
Yeah, and just looking over at the AD carries, both of these guys are those very long range monsters. And the thing is, Caitlyn does well like in the laning phase when she pokes out people and just farms up and has the headshots and does extra damage and just uses auto attacks. But we see Tristana, and she's that late game hyper carry. You know, she has the max range in the game, which is level 18. She just stands at the back, she just throws that out of her auto attack. She'll have rocket jump to disengage and get out of there. And like these are like once again, these are two long range AD carries. How do you think like those two champions can be played out into this game?
I think it's going to depend a lot on the skill of the people playing them in this case. It's going to depend on how well they can position around the fight. We've seen Tech getting quite a few. I mean, when I've been watching Tech in the in these fights, I've noticed that he's very good at attack moving away from that and kiting. He attacks, moves, attacks, moves. He's very good at the sort of orb walking. That's the word I'm looking for, orb walking. Spaz, on the other hand, I've noticed being a bit more aggressive in where he'll position in a fight. He'll move more forwards into it, whereas Tech will try and stay on the outside and get in where he can. So Tristana can pull that off fairly well with the resets on her rocket jump. However, if she miscalculates and can't get that reset on the rocket jump, it can be very scary for her. So it's going to come down to whether or not, for Spaz, he knows when to use that rocket jump to get in and when to not use that rocket jump to get in. And to Tech, it's going to come down to how well he can sort of keep out of harm's way. And he shouldn't have too much of a problem with that, as long as he doesn't get caught in a Malphite ult or something similar.
And then I really hope there's going to be like teleport kicks coming out with these teleport top laners, because this is definitely like different top lane styles potentially coming out for these guys, going for teleport instead of ignites. We could potentially see lanes up. Like Malphite is a very strong level 1 laner. Maybe they want to avoid like having Tristana go against that long range of Caitlyn early. So do you think maybe that's gonna happen or anything?
Teleport ganks? Sorry, I got distracted with the chat.
Yeah, like a lane swap, because like Malphite's a really strong lane swap, going 1v2, and Caitlyn's just like a beast early game in the lane while trading.
Yeah, like I said in the first game, I don't think My Little Pony will go for it. I think if anyone goes for it, it will be lead by example, and I don't see him doing it in this case. I feel like they should be fine in lane with that Janna Caitlyn. They might be able to bully around Lulu and Tristana fairly early. So I don't think you'll see that lane swap happen. I think if we see a lane swap occur, we're more likely to see it in the finals, because I think that's somewhat of a strategy that people would practice and sort of keep under their hat for when it's or if this goes to a game 3, to when everything's on the line. But right now, everything is on the line for My Little Pony. They have to win this game, or they're out of the tournament, 3rd place, and they do not get to have the chance to participate in that scrim versus either Velocity Esports or Cloud9. Winner of the tournament gets their pick. 2nd place gets whichever team doesn't get picked. So
I mean, they're both great teams, and I'll be interested to see how those games go out. But however, we're seeing a much different start than we saw last game. We're seeing very passive. They're just guarding up the jungle. No level 1 invades, and I guess that could be kind of predicted in the fact that neither of these teams have a super strong level 1. Like, it's no more the rest essence or anything.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very passive level 1, and then we'll see the farming happen. And we're gonna see Spaz and Holy Grail pick up little golems, which will give them that bit of an early boost. I would be interested in seeing what will happen if they hit level 6 first, if they might try and go for just blowing someone up. That level 6 burst off of Tristana is fairly strong, so if they manage to catch, say, Janna out in an awkward position and she doesn't quite get the shield down when she needs to, or the tornado down, then they could pick that up fairly early, but it's hard to engage on a Janna at times.
Yeah, and so just nope, standard lanes coming off here. It looks like the same sites for most of everybody. I do believe they do the wraiths and the golem start things for like the wraith start for the 2 soul laners.
Yeah, indeed they did. The wraith camp is down. I believe that's the only way it was possible since there wasn't an invade. So that would be a fairly interesting advantage for Kayle to have. Kayle definitely wants to hit level 6 before Diana does, because she does not want to give Diana a window to jump on her and kill her. That is absolutely crucial for her. And Renekton probably wants a bit of an advantage on Malphite as well. I mean, he's going to have his opportunity to make something happen at some point in time, and he needs to be able to have the advantage in that regardless of what happens. If he hits level 6, then Malphite can just dash away if everything goes absolutely wrong, and he won't necessarily get that kill that he'd be looking for.
Yeah, and there's just for Renekton, he's just able to get his combos up quicker. He's already really starting to bully out Fodder. Like, he just tears through the shield with that double auto attack stun that he has, and he's hitting fairly well up in top lane. But as I feel like as Otter will get more of his items, he'll become more menacing because he's Malphite. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, game coming out from Xena Zero on Tony and Vincent going to be chasing after this. The flash is coming out from both of these guys, but Vincent really cannot lock down Tony just yet, so Tony is able to just walk out of there. Had to use that flash, though.
Yeah, a bit of a wasted flash by Vinsanity there, and quite unfortunate for him, as that's pretty strong for him to have pre-6. It's his only real way out of a really bad situation.
Actually, top lane, Xena Zero coming up to top, however, being Renekton, Heavy is just able to use his slice and dice and dash twice and get out of there.
Yeah, what you were saying in top lane about Malphite once he gets those items, at the moment, I mean, Otter is already Top Heavy has already managed to bring himself out to about a 10 CS lead at the 4-minute mark. And if this keeps sort of going, keeps snowballing into a larger advantage, then Malphite isn't going to have those items to take care of dealing with Renekton. So that's going to be interesting. Malphite needs to be able to continue to farm in order to stay in this lane, but he's having a bit of a hard time of it so far.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just Renekton just being such a strong trader that he is. She's doing fairly well versus Malphite. Surprisingly to me, obviously, I think Malphite is that top lane person that just stays top lane, never dies, never takes damage. So it looks like once again Xena Zero just being really aggressive with this ganks. I really think he wants to get off those ganks when he has the red buff. With that Ignite, with the flash on Tony B, he will get feared, and he's really low, but looks like he will be able to survive. Thor came up to make sure nothing too bad happened to him. So Tony just making it out of there with barely any health left.
Yeah, that was a very smart move by Xena Zero, knowing to come back in while Tony's flash was still on cooldown, and they almost picked it up for it. So really, really well played by My Little Pony, and they're sort of starting to take a bit of an advantage. So we see Top Otter taken very low in the top lane.
Yeah, looks like he will have to go back, but once again, he does. Well, for one thing, he does have that teleport. Same thing for Heavy. Both these guys have teleport. They can always just teleport back to the lane if they wish not to lose too many minions. So he's going to be picking that Chain Vest, but he wants to get that armor, of course. Heavy has just been harassing him out, and there is the teleport coming out from Otter. Now has that Chain Vest, and hopefully, for him at least, hopefully he can just survive through the burst coming out of Otter.
Yeah, and that's definitely going to help him with his trading as well, as we see this time. I mean, last time Top Heavy went in on something like that, he took Top Otter down to about half health, and this time it seemed to have gone the other way, so definitely that Chain Vest pickup, Top Heavy will want to look to go back to sort of equalize that out as soon as he can. And so he does. So we now see Kale just sort of pushing in mid lane a bit.
Yeah, so we're seeing really passive starts this time around. I mean, no one going super aggressive, really. Top lane is trading, but it's not trading as heavily as they were last game. Actually looks like he's going to be teleporting, or Heavy's going to be teleporting back to his lane, too. So those teleports around the fairly around the same-ish cooldown, maybe like a minute off. But yeah, just really passive early game starting off here. I mean, if you look over at the CS, it's pretty much even. I mean, the slight leads around. Only difference would be, of course, that top lane where Heavy is winning out against Otter here. Well, it's just really passive lane, so definitely a different game than last.
I was seeing ganks coming in mid.
Yeah, intervention went down to Tony B. Even Sanity gonna be diving still onto him. Doors around here able to put up the CC. Even Sanity is gonna be falling first for the first blood. Zero was able to pick up Tony after, but I was thinking Zero will have to get out of here as Doors is throwing up the auto attacks, punching him with his heavy armored fist, and looks like they'll just be able to hold off these mid lanes.
Yeah, and that was just Thor being in the right place at the right time. He was there right as Diana went aggressive onto Tony, so I mean, it was good sense for him to be there at that point in time. Had Tony been in there alone against Nautilus and Diana, I think it would have certainly been first blood the other way around, and Diana probably wouldn't have died.
So, like, I've been talking about how passive this game has been. What do you think is the reasoning behind, like, why these teams are just kind of playing a little bit more passive than they were last game?
You know, I'm not really certain, to be honest with you. I feel like, I mean, I really don't know. Top lane's naturally going to be a bit more passive. Garen was looking to fight Renekton constantly. Malphite's not really looking to fight the Renekton constantly, so there's that. I mean, Kale versus Diana is just a bit of an odd matchup that I've never really seen before, so I mean, Tony playing a lot more passively than he has in the past. I think he's more used to sort of things that just jump in at them and blow them up, and Kale really doesn't fit that. Out of the jungle, Zenizero's still been fairly aggressive, so not really much change out of the jungle, and bot lane I feel like
it's just passive lanes. Like these two like duos are just really passive. I mean, they want to farm up. They're both long range champions. You know, Lulu is just long. Like this disengage already coming out from Janet that would just like stop anything from happening. And you know, there's a lot of disengage coming out from this bottom lane. So I don't think they really want to fight too much. But I just you know, it could be also like that game. Like last game was just so close. Maybe they're like, okay, we gotta be careful because like, with how aggressive LBX was early, even with that aggression, they were very close to losing the game. Like they had their inhibitor down. It was just like at the end game where they were able to pull through, and it was actually really close coming out for that. So maybe they're just like, okay, let's kind of tone it down a little bit safer and see if we can get the natural advantage. So it looks like mid lane, the Dredge going up onto Insanity, gonna be locking him down. He's gonna be flashing out, but the death charge is coming up, gonna be able to knock him up. Zero's coming in and seeing what he can do, but Thor's already able to pick up the kill on Insanity as Zero gets into here and go ahead and back out of there. Actually, top lane Otter has to use the on top of force to get away from Heavy, but Heavy flashes right after him. Slice and dice. Oh no, never mind. Doesn't even need slice and dice. Goes ahead, picks up the kill.
Yeah, it was very good play by Top Otter picking that up. I was expecting once I saw the unstoppable force from Malphite going down, 2-0, almost falling in mid lane.
Oh wow. Wow, the intervention coming out. Thor was taking out almost Tony, but he put down that intervention was not taken out. Meanwhile, bottom lane trading coming out here. Oh, just out of super low. The Daddy Calvin, no, the barrier as well as a wild growth coming out. But now these two are really low, and this would be a prime time for an ace in the hole, but she does not have it up.
Yeah, now we're starting to see that aggression that we were wondering where it would be. I mean, Caitlyn Janna can be aggressive. I mean, Caitlyn is a bit of a lane bully, and she can sort of take advantage of once Tristana hits that bit of a mid-game lull that she has. But at this point in time, it's just I'm not certain if if LBX is going to look to take this tower fairly, or if they're going to keep it up and try and sort of keep Tristan in this lane where they maybe have an advantage now.
I'd be interested to see how Tony plays with this Kale, because I mean, last game he played Caston, that's just a huge snowballing assassin. But this time he's playing Kale, which isn't really the same. Kale's a lot more of like the support-ish kind of, like, you know, she has the intervention, she has a heal, and maybe she'll like start the fight with the with her Q and then just shred armor off of people. But other than that, it's just like she's not a very die-hard assassin. Actually, in the mid lane, Thor is hanging around here, seeing if he can get a gank off, and looks like he will be going in. And they'll be going under the side for this one. An intervention comes out, but once again, Xena Zero's around here, but it doesn't matter. Thor is still able to pick up the kill onto Insanity. Once again, Thor is playing such an effective and even though Xena Zero is like around when these games happen, he's just not able to get there in time.
Yeah, that was very well executed by Lead by Example. You know, I feel like Tony gets sort of a reputation as being an assassin player, but so far this tournament, he's had a reasonable amount of success on things that weren't just those dive-in assassin kinds. I mean, he had one game as Rise, he made a bit of a mistake in lane, gave up first blood, and it was actually in the match against My Little Pony's Game 3 in the first round. But he also had a game playing Gragas later in the tournament where he just completely stomped everything, so I feel like he's kind of gotten a bit of a pigeonholed almost as the assassin player guy, but I feel like he's showing that he can pull off this not diving in kind of champion as well.
Yeah, so going a little bit back, but it's 2-5 right now in favor of Lead by Example. Once again, taking that early game advantage. Maybe not as big an advantage as they had from last game, but certainly still an advantage. They have a slight gold lead. Thor has just been around the map, and we do see him now in the bottom, and I do not believe he's spotted out, so he has his lane gank, and this is going to be deadly because he does have his ultimate up, he has his flash up, he of course has the master CC, and he's just waiting for him to kind of like walk into this trap here. And this could be bad. The Dredge, oh, the Dredge was so close with Spaz. It was not hit by that, and oh, he's actually coming around. He still wants to go for this game, but this time he passed the Tri-Brush. It was warded. Tano did hit from Janna and Spaz, and Holy Grail know to back off from this.
Yeah, and I believe My Little Pony is going to be forced to cede the first tower of the game to Lead by Example, so that's going to give Lead by Example a fairly sizable lead in gold as well. It's currently up to about 3,000 in their favor, and a lot of that is centered around that mid lane and jungle. So we see Tony is currently 1,600 gold ahead of Diana at this point, so very huge advantage. Even in top lane, Renekton 1,000 ahead, is now they're going to take Dragon too to extend it to 4,000 gold.
Yep, there you go, that Dragon going down. They get even more gold from this. It's starting to get that early game rolling for them. I mean, like, once that starts, it's probably never going to stop, just if we take into account how last game went. Thing is, like, we have to see if My Little Pony, like, if they can, you know, fight back and get those objectives, because right now it's not going too well for them. They don't have they're losing in towers, losing in dragons, and just so far it's not looking too good for them.
Yeah, I feel like last game a lot of what we saw was LBX taking these early advantages, but they're not taking anywhere near as many risks as they were last time to get them. And I think that's sort of where they faltered last game. They were playing really aggressively, getting a lot of good stuff down, but at the same time, sometimes their aggressive moves backfired and allowed Pony a chance back in. And in the end, I mean, Pony had a pretty strong team towards the end of it, and then that fight around Baron where LBX took it and then marched down the base while Top Otter was attempting to backdoor was what sort of cost them the game in the end. So I don't feel it's really fair, given last game, to count Pony anywhere near out or anywhere near too far behind, but I think it's definitely Lead by Example's game to lose right now.
Yeah, I mean, like, if they win this game, they go on, and then it's like, it's a best of three. So like, obviously when you get to like a third game in the best of three, that is like the time where you're like super like stressed out and you're like, oh gosh, if we lose this, and it's all over with third place, you know, you get a scrim. But you know, it's just they probably just don't want to go to the third game here. And you know, if they go to the third game after the third game, they're gonna have best of fives to do, and that's just very, very menacing. And that can kind of be said for both teams, though, because obviously if My Little Pony wins this game, you'll have to go to best of threes. You'll have to go into their game. Anyways, so looking over at items, mostly the same items coming off, like 80 carries, pretty much mirrored builds here. I'm surprised we're not seeing like the Infinity Edge coming out from Caitlyn, because that's really popular. We go Infinity Edge and your auto attacks just absolutely hurt and take down people.
Yeah, there are two schools of thought on Caitlyn, which are that the Infinity Edge stacks with headshot and like that, and you'll be doing a lot of damage per hit. But there's also a school of thought on Caitlyn where you go that early Bloodthirster and take advantage of the raw AD scaling on a lot of her abilities, and the fact that she has that sort of bonus AD ratio.
Oh, actually, top lane triple gank coming out here. Oh, the Dread Giant hit a minion as well as the auto attack snare. And chasing at the top bot, actually the Death Touch coming out, but he's already inside his face. An intervention coming out actually onto Thor as Insanity gets in here. Here comes the Nocturnal Twin going onto this. Tony is speared right on top of the tower, and he does have an intervention to save himself, but Heavy's trying to get onto Insanity. He flashes in there, picks up the kill, and now he has to get out of this tower. The tower's taking him down. Oh, the heal coming out from Tony. Heavy's going to survive. Otter's flashing in there, picks up the kill onto Tony. Looks like Thor is turning around, trying to get into Xena Zero. The auto attack will be able to finish him off. And looks like Thor actually is going to aggressive onto Otter, potentially. Nope, he will just go ahead and back off of that. So a little bit back and forth coming off, but ended up with a 2-for-1 in favor of Lead by Example.
Yeah, meanwhile in bot lane, that's sort of letting Caitlyn and Janna have their way with Tristana and Lulu at this point, and Tristana jumping over the wall is maybe very dangerous for her.
Yeah, but looks like Tech and Torque just don't want to do too much. I like how they have Tech and Torque. That sounds really cool to say. Anyways, it looks like they just want to do too much, as they just want to keep this push going. They're actually kind of losing CS here, but I mean overall they're going to be winning because of the dragon they got, because they're 3 towers ahead, and I mean their whole team is just winning in gold because of the objectives they've been able to secure.
Yeah, I mean, Lead by Example is playing this incredibly well. Like I said, they're taking risks again, but this time they're taking them a lot more intelligently. Last game they were sort of almost reckless. In this game it's a lot more controlled, a lot tighter, and it's really paying off for them even heavier than it did last game.
Yeah, so looking over, Caitlyn going for standard 80 carry build, finish up that Bloodthirster, and now going for the Zeal. We do see Renekton actually going for massive tankiness first. He went for a Sunfire Cape, and now looks like into the Warmog's armor, so really wants to get that health up. And actually, Spaz is going to be running right into Thor. Thor is going to get the Dredge line off. And a nice buster shot to get Tony away, but Tony walks right back in there, picks up the kill onto him. And they will go ahead and get out with that. And just a little bit too overextended coming out.
Yeah, and another thing I just sort of noticed is that if you just look at the scoreline, 8 kills on on Lead by Example's side. Caitlyn is 0-0-0. So she's just been down there pushing that bot lane, farming it up, and she's actually a little bit behind in CS as well. Both AD carries have not really had any impact in fights. They've just been down there laning pretty much the entire time for about 20 minutes now.
Yeah, just also look at the ward coverage coming out of Lead by Example right now. Just look at it. They have so many wards everywhere. It's just, oh my. Like, they have it all over this jungle on the side. And actually, Enzo, of course, coming in, not going to be hit anybody, but they are charging on Tony B. Does have that intervention. It does have the ultimate coming out for him, which is called intervention. Oh, okay. Well, looks like Thor wants to go under the side here. Braille caught off. He will be taken down. Tech picking up so quickly. Couldn't even get a wild growth out there. He was taken out. So it looks like they want to continue this push on. Tech is getting dropped pretty low here, but looks like he should be able to remain okay, as they're just kind of pushing up this middle lane.
Yeah, and congratulations on Tech. They're getting the first kill or assist on an AD carry in this match at this point. They finally seem to have broken out of the laning phase, that very, very extended laning phase in bot lane.
And it's another dragon going down. They're really securing these objectives.
Yeah, they're doing a great job of controlling the map right now. Like you said, the ward coverage is stellar from Lead by Example at this point, and it's just allowing them to do basically whatever they want. They're completely dictating this game at this point, and My Little Pony needs to start finding ways to get some of this control back. It's gonna basically get slowly stomped on.
I mean, they have to get like those pickoffs coming out, because just look at the team. They have such a strong pickoff team. They have people that can dive in onto one person, and well, Malphite's multiple people. Same thing, I guess, for Diana. But the people that can just dive into the team. They have a Lulu that can make people tanky, and it's just like they have to utilize that. And they can't. The thing is, they can't. Obviously, they can't go in the full 5v5 because they are down in goal and down in kills. But they have to look for someone to pick up. They have to try to get like a small skirmish or try to catch someone off guard to have like 5 versus 3 or something like that. But you know, other than that, they're just getting slowly pushed down. They're not going to be able to secure objectives, you know, pretty much at all with how ahead Lead by Example is already.
Yeah, and this is basically how the first game could have gone had they not made a few suspect calls. You know, they're continuing to build upon their lead as Tony getting caught by that dusk trail out there, but nothing's going to come of it.
Yeah, so like it's really surprising to see because LVX knocked Pony. No wait, yeah, no, Pony knocked LVX into the losers bracket, didn't they?
They indeed did. It's a team fight.
Yep, we do have them. They keep on diving on the Tony, but he has the intervention of every single time. But he has the flash out of there. The Waggles came out onto Otter. Heavy getting in there. He is so tanky. Tony does go down, but Heavy is in the middle of the team. He is seemingly not taking that much damage. Actually going to get Polymorph though. And he's going to be trying to flashing in, going for Otter now. Meanwhile, the tower down the bottom lane went down. And looks like Heavy is just trying to tank this one up, but he's going to be taken down eventually. Spaz picking that one up. Bottom lane inner tower going down though.
Yeah, Heavy's goal there was not even to try and take anyone out. His goal was just to live for as long as he could and try and buy time for Torque and Tech to take that tower and bottom turret, and they managed to pull that off successfully. Like you said, they need that 5v3 engage, but if they're doing that at the expense of their own turrets, it's not going to get them back into this game.
Yeah, that's the inner tower. He's going to be taken out. There's 2 inner towers left. 4 towers to 0. It's like 3 or 2 dragons. I'm not sure. But there's more dragons on the side about Lead by Example, to be sure. And then just looking over at these builds, like Abyssal Scepter rush out from KO wants to get that magic resist going. Doesn't want to get completely destroyed by Diana. Also has a Sheen coming out for her. As well as that Nash's Tooth, of course. Wants to get that attack speed, of course, which is just so strong on Kale. As well as they also have the Abyssal Scepter on Diana. Pretty much the same reasoning for Kale going with that. And we see Nocturne, he's actually going for Spirit of the Elder Lizard. It's a little bit more of the damagey build, but also going for that Lock of the Iron Solar to get some tanky stats in there.
Yeah, and I feel another important note of itemization is the sort of divergence of AD carry build path, where you have the Bloodthirster versus the Infinity Edge. That would probably be playing out for Tristana if it weren't for the fact that Caitlyn has a Phantom Dancer and Tristana has the components of Azeel. So we're seeing a bit of aggression now.
Another Unstoppable Force not hitting anybody from Otter. That's a bit unfortunate because it looks like this tower is just getting absolutely poked down. Tex is getting in and throwing off all those auto attacks. Has the Phantom Dancer now, so has so much attack speed, just able to rip down those towers. And we definitely seen this tower siege come into play. And actually, there's the hook onto Xena Zero. Xena Zero is going to be taking some decent damage, but it really looks like they're just trying to trade and Lead by Example is pushing to the tower.
Yeah, Lead by Example really has complete control over this situation right now. With Unstoppable Force still down, I mean, there's not really much that My Little Pony can do to hold this off, as we're seeing the ultimate coming down from Caitlyn. Ace in the hole going to connect with Lulu, but Tristana Force back, and I believe we're going to see Lead by Example just take this tower.
Yep, and looks like the tower will be going down.